Hi, this is Michael Cohen. I'm a Dallas elder law attorney, and I'm joined by my good friend Don Crawford Jr., who we used to do a radio show together, and now he's given me the pleasure of joining me again and asking questions on a topic that we haven't discussed beforehand. The first topic today that we're going to discuss is on Diane Keaton. Diane Keaton, who died at the end of 2025, had supposedly, we think it's according to all reports, a $5 million pet trust for her dog, Reggie. Now,
Hmm.
Don, I know you have Oreo. Uh,
Okay.
is Oreo in the room? Because
Yes, he is. Would you like to see Oreo? Come
Oh,
here,
hey,
Oreo.
yeah, let's see Oreo because I think Oreo.
That's
Oh, there you
Oreo.
go, Oreo. I wonder what his colors are.
Yeah, exactly.
Oreo. I
Mhm.
think Oreo wants to hear about this topic, and I'm
Okay, yeah, pet trust, absolutely. Especially $5 million. It'd make him very happy.
yeah, that's a lot of dog treats. I love
Mhm.
love at first bark.
Yeah,
And so Oreo gets to hear about pet trust. In Texas, we have pet trust, but a lot of you may have heard of some celebrities. Remember that also have given pet trust. Remember Leona Helmsley famously gave like $12 million to her pet. There was the guy Karl Lagerfeld, the designer, who has a cat that he gave a large portion of his estate, which was hundreds of millions or something to at least a good portion of it to his pet cat, who, by the way, was a wealthy cat in of herself because she modeled. So he's left a mansion where there's people who take care of the cat on a daily basis. So with all the different uh, trimmings, I guess you'd say, they may want. Oprah Winfrey said that she wants to have some large amount given to her pet. So there's lots of different. Oh, and the worst, it was a countess in Europe who gave $80 million, I think, to her pet. And it's interesting that the rules are different in the United States than in some, let's say, European countries. Um, in in the United States, a pet is what's called personal property. So, for example, if you have a revocable living trust and you assign your personal property to the trust, your pet would be part of your personal property.
okay.
So it's not that it's just an asset of yours, whereas they treat it differently in, let's say, France or some of the other countries. So,
Okay.
so more would go to the pets in those foreign countries than they would here. And so typically, so what would be in the pet trust? You'd say who's in charge? Um, is there any special walking and medicines and toys and medications and how often to go to the vet or whatever, and how often, what kind of things you purchase for them. You could go into great detail, and there's, like I said, there's language in Texas as to what even a pet trust would have.
Okay.
Now, most people don't do this.
All right.
Um, Most people say, okay, I'm going to give X amount to so and so. This is what I like to have done. And then they just do it and hope for the best. But it's not enforceable because the person could just take the money and go because who's going to try to enforce it? Whereas a pet trust, it's an irrevocable trust that somebody could have liability for failing to do so. By
Okay.
the way, in the United States, not only is it interesting to note that it's considered property, but a court could reduce the size of the bequest upon a motion.
Right.
So on Leona Helmsley, the
Right.
instead of getting 12 million, it was reduced because it was more than what that was the court thought was necessary to take care of the pet.
I'm scared to ask how much it was reduced to.
I don't know, but it was reduced by millions.
Yeah,
Uh,
it better be.
yeah,
Goodness
yeah,
gracious.
yeah. It was by $3.15. Now, the so it was reduced because they said if and so it's kind of I like the U.S. laws better than the Europe some of those
Sure.
European ones because this is somewhat
Yeah.
ridiculous at some
Yeah,
point.
good word.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
On Diane Keaton's, after her pet dies, it goes to various pet charities. She was a big pet advocate. Now, the great majority of her, I think she had around $100 million estate. The great majority of it, she had two children, one born to her, one adopted by her. Doesn't make any difference on that. But the great majority is going to go to her children, is presumed. Now, she had a trust, so we don't know for sure because when you have a trust, unlike a will, it's not a matter of public knowledge. So
Right,
a lot of people would prefer to have a, let's say, a revocable living trust, which avoids probate.
right.
And people just don't know what you have. If you have a will, the will is a matter of public record. If you do an inventory, it's a matter of public record, or it could be, unless there's certain situations where it doesn't have to be. But the bottom line is, and now with today's people want to know everything, and there's a lot of bad people out there. More people are probably starting to do trust than they had in the past.
Makes
Um,
sense.
in fact, we even have privacy in the names a lot of times. The majority of people have their name, living trust, but
Right.
uh, we often joke about it with different people. Some of my favorite ones I asked the client what they would like to call their trust. Called the IMM trust. I said, "What does IMM stand for?" It's my money.
You're right,
Yeah.
buddy.
And then somebody else I told that to shortly thereafter, she said, "Well, I don't have that large of a estate, so we're going to call it the What's Left Trust." Uh,
Buddy.
a client who had issues with the opposite sex uh, called it Stacy's Trust Issues Trust. So,
Oh,
I mean, you can call it anything
right.
you want.
The IMM people can call it the INYM. It's not your money trust.
Yeah, right. Well, I
The
had,
next,
yeah, so there's a lot of people have all these funny things, and it's really, you can make as much fun as you want, have as much fun with it you want. Well, Diane Keaton apparently had a living trust, so it's private, so we don't know for sure, but that's what has been reported is that you could have, this money is to go to the dog Reggie, and there's certain conditions in there, and then after Reggie's passing that 5 million, what's left of it would go to different animal charities.
okay, whatever.
Yeah, so to each, but most people in their either will or trust say, this is what I'm going to give you X amount. This is what I'd like you to do. And if something happens, and sometimes we say, if that pet, there might be more than one pet. And so we might say, the pet that I owned at the time of my death. Yeah, so
Okay.
So anyway, okay, let's walk the dog 3 times a day, and this is a special diet, and
Right.
and
Balls and treats and the whole thing.
yeah. So I guess her dog wasn't her whole life, but it made her life whole. So
Glad to hear that.
yeah. Well, Don, do you have any questions of me?
No, it's just I'm glad that there are children involved and not all of the estate went to the animal.
Oops.